Some sort to say that we're recording? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. So I want to just bypass the lobby because it keeps telling me to bypass this lobby. Okay. All right, so we are recording just to let everybody know. So I'll give you all a second to adjust your mics, adjust your camera, whatever you need to do. Okay. So just as a review for the agenda today, I have to look this way because that's where my other PowerPoint is. But our agenda is we have special guests with us today. They're Amanda and Mike, and they're going to introduce themselves in a few minutes. But this was a good session. We're going to cover category 3 specifically on the program. So these are the SR45, the Iris, and the Zippy Iris. I'm going to do about a 20 to 30-minute coverage of a review of the eligibility criteria, as well as some of the standard specs you can get on the chair through Manitoba Wheelchair Program. And then we're going to let Sunrise do their bit about what's new, what the products that they're offering on chair, that kind of stuff. And then we will hopefully have some questions or wrap up at the end of the time. So, all right. So people are still coming in, so that's fine. Just letting you know everything's being recorded right now to be shown at a later time for people that can't come to this specific time slot. Okay, just as a reminder, for the Manitoba Wheelchair Program is administered on behalf of Manitoba Health, but administered by WHA for all RHAs. We are operated then by a service agreement with Manitoba Possible, who is a nonprofit organization. So just that little introduction. If you have not visited the Manitoba Wheelchair Program webpage, please do so. We have updated the operations manual. There's always changes, so I don't know. I could always forever update the policy manual, but we have an updated version from September 2023. You're going to um, sorry, just mic your or mute your mics there, people.
It's gonna be crazy.
Okay, let me just try to see if I can. How do you mute everybody? Anyways, okay, I gotta figure that out. Okay, so if you haven't gone to the web page, please go there. There's going to be some stuff that we're going to reference in this website webinar today. It's the quick reference guide, the application forms, and the order forms that are on the website. So you can have that as a ready link in case you do want to go to that right away. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike and Amanda right now. They're going to introduce themselves, and so I will turn off my mic. All right.
Hey, do you want to go first?
You go.
Hey, everyone. I'm Amanda Dines with Sunrise Medical. I think at the point I'm a month and a half new with Sunrise, but I am a 20-year industry vet. So I have been on both the vendor and the manufacturing side. I got my start. Little background, sorry. Got my start at Medigas, where I was sort of focused more on respiratory. Didn't feel challenged enough, so of course the next logical step was get into mobility. And I left Medigas because it was full respiratory and went to a company called Therapist Choice. Unfortunately, they did go bankrupt. So that's when I started on the manufacturing side with a company called Advanced Healthcare. So I think probably some of you may recognize me, hopefully, and maybe we can turn cameras on after if we have time just to say hi. But I haven't called on the province probably for 7 or 8 years. So it has been a while. But hopefully we will get to see each other soon and meet in person.
And I'm Mike Longo. I've been with Sunrise Medical for 22 years. I've been working with Manitoba Possible, SMD, for probably, I was thinking last night, about probably 19 years I've been coming to Manitoba. So it's great to see a lot of familiar faces, and thank you for your support. I run our Canadian business, clinical education, sales, marketing, product management. And yeah, we're very excited to be here today and listen to Amanda's presentation and help out where I can. Thank you, Cherry, for inviting us.
Thank you. Am I starting?
You go right into your
Sorry.
chair.
This is my first Teams PowerPoint, so I apologize.
You have your
Okay.
PowerPoint up already down
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
So if you hit share. And just ask if everyone can see it.
Okay, and you guys can see this?
Yes, the thumbs up came up.
Okay, perfect. All right, so as Cherry said, we're going to do some review on the Quickie products, Quickie Zippy, Quickie Iris, and the SR45. But I just wanted to, I know we did our intros already, but this is sort of a snapshot of who I am. I didn't put a slide together for Mike, but where I had a little bit of a gap, which I didn't mention earlier in my employment, is after COVID. I know that I'm preaching to the choir here big time, but after COVID, I had the burnout big time. So my husband and I, who's in the green cap there at the Blue Jays game, Gavin, we had the opportunity to leave our jobs and travel. So we did a year and a half across North America. We tow a 28-foot travel trailer. And the little pup on the top left there is Lily. So we brought Lily with us. And then the little pup there on the top right is Yuki. And we actually picked Yuki up as a puppy on Vancouver Island. So as you can see, I'm a huge dog person. The picture on the top left is me in Alberta, in Banff, and then Nova Scotia in the bottom there with my pup Lily. So that's a little bit about me. So what I wanted to go over today is just a review of rotational tilt technology, the similarities and differences between Quickie and the Zippy Iris, and then again, the similarities and differences between the Iris and the SR45, review a little bit of the clinical application for the products, and then if we've got time to go over resources, including some of the website access, some of our website access. So if you guys is everybody muted, Cherry? Or can they unmute if I ask? Okay. So just a quick question for you guys. When you think of either just tilt in general or even rotational tilt, what's the first thing that pops in your head? If they can type, I don't know. So you think maybe pressure injury?
Canadian Tire beach chair.
What's that?
Canadian Tire beach chair.
Not quite.
Zero gravity.
But I think a big part of going through a tilt chair or the rotation tilt technology is to go through a bit of the evolution of tilt and space technology. So starting with, and you know, we're not slagging anybody here. This is just evolution, and there's a lot of these products are still on the market, but it's just to sort of let you know how we got to rotation in space. So the fixed pivot chair, which you guys are obviously familiar with, which is pictured here, if you can see my little cursor, this is actually the Quickie TS. But you know, with the pivot being here, that when the client goes into tilt, their center of mass or center of gravity ends up being outside of that wheelbase, right? Which means that we have to increase our wheelbase to offer stability. And when we increase our wheelbase, we're also taking away from maneuverability. So there's a little bit of sacrifices there in terms of what we're giving the client and what we're taking away. We also have challenges with anytime that we have gas struts or mech locks, there's going to be some challenges. One of the bigger challenges is for our caregivers. So it takes quite a bit of force to put a client into and take a client out of tilt and or recline with a gas strut. And then we do have limitations in terms of how much tilt we can offer in a fixed pivot chair. So usually about 45 degrees. So then I'm going to move into sliding pivot. So this is not a Quickie product, or this is not a Sunrise product, but this is in fact the Solera, the Invacare Solera. And they were sort of the first introduction to the market with the tilt in space technology. And so what they did was that they used a slider bar, which allowed, where's my cursor, which allowed the client to move down and forward, which lend itself to the shorter wheelbase, right? So that the center of gravity, because the center of gravity is over the wheelbase, we have a shorter wheelbase and we have more maneuverability. And so this was, it's older technology, but certainly this is sort of helped lead the way, I guess, for lack of a better term, to rotation in space. We also have front knee pivot chairs. So this chair actually pictured here is in fact a Quickie product. It's the Quickie Access. But what we're getting with these particular applications is it is a niche application. We are limited in our tilt range considerably. And I do have another slide that we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about the limitations in tilt range. And again, we do have challenges with those mechanical locks and gas struts, or mech locks and gas struts. And again, a longer wheelbase. So that leads us into rotation in space. So what we have is with the Iris, obviously, and with the SR45, it's the different approach to tilt with the cradle and rocker, which creates a circular arch around our clients. So we can do a much smaller footprint because our center of gravity is aligned with the center of rotation, excuse me. And also we can eliminate those gas struts and mechanical locks. And so here's a great picture example of this rotation in space. And again, that center of rotation aligning with the center of gravity, because you can see as that client is in 90-90 or upright, that center of mass, center of gravity has not changed over that base. Okay, so benefits of rotational tilt. Person's center of mass remains stable over the wheelbase in various degrees of tilt. Allows for shortest wheelbase while maintaining stability, maneuverability, neutral resistance going in and out of tilt. I said that relatively quickly because I wanted to sort of point out, had I not highlighted these words, those sort of claims almost would go unrealized. Like, well, what does that mean? Person's center of mass remains stable over the wheelbase, and how important is that? I would use the example of center of gravity on, let's say, a folding or a rigid chair. So if you've got a center of gravity that's quite far forward, maybe +4 inches, right? And you as a cognitive user sat in that chair, even if you didn't tilt back, or even if you didn't tip back, I should say, you've got a very unsettled feeling in that chair, right? Because we know that stability is coming from width, stability is coming from depth, and stability is also coming from top to bottom, right? And so the same goes for if you have a client who's sitting really high up, perched on a chair, and their wheel access is limited. You have that sense, that sort of unsettled feeling of instability, right? Left to right or front to back. And so we think about our clients who have cognitive impairments, or maybe our clients who can't communicate. And so we're putting them in systems which potentially are startling and unsettling. And so I think it's important to really know, and for us even to get in these systems and tilt them and recline them and try them, and so that we know what our clients are feeling in terms of stability, because it really is one of the most important things in configuring a chair. And then again, the neutral resistance going in and out of tilt. This is big because we've got a lot of caregivers out there, and with a lot of different abilities. And so having that difficulty or resistance going in or out of tilt or recline is pretty significant for a lot of these people. So what are the benefits of rotational tilt? And I'm adding in here recline for a reason. So recent research indicates, and I'd say that this is probably like 5 years new research, indicates that at least 35 degrees of tilt combined with a minimum of 100 degrees of recline is needed for enhancing blood flow over the ITs. The RESNA position paper regarding the application of tilt and recline states that wheelchair tilt in space should be at least 25 degrees when combined with recline at 120. So smaller angles of wheelchair tilt and recline are preferred by the wheelchair users for function. And so I think a lot of the times when we are dealing with these particular users, we might be thinking about putting them in a knee pivot system. But the reality is if they're not getting the amount of tilt and the amount of recline that we now know through the research is necessary to enhance that blood flow, are we doing them a disservice, or are we overprescribing a product potentially, that they aren't going to utilize? Tilt in space less than 35 degrees and recline less than 100 may not be sufficient for pressure reduction. So it's newish research, but I think it is really important because we know a lot of clients that are not utilizing potentially more than 25 degrees of tilt. And so realistically, why are we putting them in these systems if they're not going to use it, or if we're not going to tilt them? Okay, so this video here, I'm going to play for you guys. This is really what sort of hit home for me. There's a section of this video that has adjustments. Okay, and I don't want you to get sort of caught up on the adjustments because you will not be doing them. We're going to talk about filling in the order form properly. This will all be done at factory. Potentially, sure, there's a chance that your vendors would be doing some of these adjustments at some point if they were putting a different user in the chair. But this is just to show you that rotational space and how it really works.
There's supposed to be sound. I'm saying there's sound. Get the sound up on your. No sound.
Oh, shoot.
Everything.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Here we are playing this whole video in its entirety, and it's got great audio. I'm not sure what I've done wrong.
Just summarize the.
What's that?
Can we send out the link later to the group, just for this specific video?
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because they're gonna get this PowerPoint, right? I'll send
Yeah.
it to you.
Sure.
So hopefully, yeah, because it is a great, I mean, even without the audio, you guys probably got it, right?
Yeah.
But the audio makes a difference. So I do apologize. I don't know. Like I said, first PowerPoint through Teams. I have
No
a couple
problem.
short videos, but okay. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Zippy Iris, because again, we're going to go over some of the similarities and differences between our chairs. So, I mean, you guys.
I want to just pause for 1 second on that. I think
Okay.
There was a question.
Oh, Mike said there might have been a question. Sorry.
How long was the extension to? Is that standard with all Iris? So that I think that's part of the order form question.
Okay,
extension to
So we'll
the
get
truck.
to that after.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, yeah, so we'll answer some of those questions after that I think you guys have put into the chat.
That question was from Brad.
From Brad, okay. So we will get to that for sure. So with the Zippy Iris, 220 pound weight cap, available with the 55 degrees tilt, which can be set to 5 degrees anterior, 0 obviously, or to 5 degrees posterior tilt. Widths that go from 10 to 18 and depths that go from 10 to 18 as well. And this is part of the True Fit program. And what that means is that for 5 years, as long as that chair is under the same user, you get a free growth kit with that chair. And we do have a recline option as well on the Zippy Iris. So some of these slides, I know Cherry and we chatted yesterday about this. There is see dealer notes. So we're going to sort of revise the order forms and we'll get to that after, but there are going to be see dealer notes as well as option to pay. And I believe that this particular option would probably be a see dealer, Cherry. But the X-Locks folding cross brace, I know that this is something that families do want. Sometimes it's stigma, sometimes it's just that they think that wheelchairs need to fold. You know, maybe their previous wheelchair folded this way, and so this is what's expected. But we do have a folding option on the Zippy. And this is another quick animation. So I don't think that the audio on this one is as important. Just to show you how that folds. So I apologize about this audio business. Can you guys hear that? Probably. Can you hear that, Jerry? Help me.
I'm wondering if it's a setting I have to do on my end here.
You hear it now?
Sorry, guys. Next time, I promise I'll figure out how to use this and we can listen to audio.
What they're doing.
Yeah, you can talk it through. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a release button under the cover on the strut tube. And push and pull up at the same time. And then grabbing the X-Lock release strap, you pull up and then pull the frame together. And then if you close down the mounting hardware, it's going to make it a little bit more compact in its fold.
And this, got a question here. From Scott.
Yep.
Can the Zippy Iris canes fold down for storing in a vehicle even if you don't get the X-Lock?
Yes, they can. Scott, sorry. So Scott's question was, can the back canes fold even if you're not doing the X-Lock? Yes, they can. And hopefully when you guys get this PowerPoint, you'll be able to watch these videos. Sorry. So you get it. Okay. And I do have one more video, I promise. But this one's cool because it's an animation that makes sense, because when you talk through it, it's kind of like, okay, what? But we talked, Cherry, we did mention yesterday, I really love these Zfinity foot supports. There is a max weight cap of 165, but a lot of our users are within that range. It's just, these offer so much in terms of versatility in positioning. So they literally help eliminate a lot of the degrees of hangers that we would need, as well as the heights, the foot heights of hangers that we would need. So let me just blast through this next video, okay? Because it's more about the animation on this one than anything.
Welcome to the new Zippy Zfinity footrest.
I hate they can't hear it.
The Zfinity system is designed to solve two footrest.
So one of the challenges that's always been presented is that there's way too many options, and we know that.
Someone said there's 7.
Oh,
Sherry said there's 10.
you can hear it? Don't talk through it that way.
We heard it for a second. I don't know what happened.
So weird.
Sorry, I don't know either.
Okay, sorry, guys. It's embarrassing, but again,
It's fine. So what's that hanger angle then that you have?
So just the position of the actual, because this is an infinite adjustment, right? That rotation is infinite. So
Okay.
you can basically change that foot plate position, and you can do it forward and back as well as, so that then creates a hanger angle
Okay.
of like that, the previous slide showed, you could do a 90 on a 70 potentially, or
Mhm.
and that's with the extension tube, of course, that you can have that much versatility in.
You can direct now.
Yes, yeah, direct mount, yeah. So, yeah, so the long and short is that you are eliminating a ton of questions about all of those foot plate options on the order form.
So there's just a
Yes.
question there. Yeah.
Yes, you
guys said
can.
that.
Oh, sorry,
So-
repeat the question.
Yeah, so the question is, sorry, let me just pause that.
DLT-OTs.
Okay, so can you get these foot plates on the Iris or SR45? Yes, but we have to keep in mind that they have that 165-pound weight cap on the feet. So if our client's over that, then we wouldn't use those.
And then Scott B.
With the foot plates as tucked up as possible, is there caster interference? No. Okay.
And that's where we're having, that's where having the configurator online. You'll be
Ye-
able to see what caster works with the
Yeah.
plates and
We just have to find out if they have access to that.
but
Okay.
you can talk to that
We're
later.
going to talk about resources after, and so hopefully I can get you guys logged in as clinicians to My Sunrise. I'm going to show you where, but we can go through that and obviously answer more questions after. All right, so with the Quickie Iris, we do have, these are our differences, of course, between our Zippy and our Quickie. 300-pound weight capacity. We do have that heavy duty option. And again, we do have that 55-degree tilt range. So these are where we're similar. And you can set that to your anterior of your -5 or your posterior of your +5, or of course your 0. And our widths that go from 14 to 22 and depths from 14 to 22. And so we do have a power tilt option. So Cherry, this is one of the things we chatted about yesterday. This would be a C dealer note. But it is quite cool. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to see it yet. We would love to show you in person, but I do have another video. So I don't know. Hopefully I can talk through it, or maybe you'll get that glimmer of audio again, I don't know. And we have a recline option, which if we do have time, we can turn video on and show you the chair that Cherry brought up for us to show. And this chair is also part of the True Fit program. So you've got that growth kit option. Can you guys hear this? Yeah. Okay. So obviously we have an attendant control as well as you've got a user toggle. So right now, the client in the chair is using her toggle, which is going to go into tilt and then of course come out of tilt because it is set to toggle. And this is available on the Quickie Iris as well as the SR45. So both, obviously, you can see here, she's just demonstrating we do have the pendant so that the caregiver can put the client into tilt and out of tilt. And then they have the independence of having the option of that switch as well, which is installed. You can kind of see it's dark in the video, but sort of underneath of her forearm, there's a toggle switch. The tilt range is maintained, so you're not losing any of the range based on which chair you've got. So if it's the SR45, you've got the full 45 degrees. And if it's the Iris, then you've got your full 55 degrees.
Amanda, there's a couple questions on the chat if you're okay.
We have a question from Paige. And Paige's question is, could you please speak more on the growth kit and is it just for the Zippy and Iris?
Yes, so Paige's question was about the growth kit, and yes, it is. The SR45 is not part of that program. The Zippy and the Iris are. And so it is a 5 years, same user, right? So if it's that client's been in the chair, and it's their chair, and they were originally prescribed that chair, we will grow that chair. So if there's, if they've got a tendency to put on weight or lose weight, then we will grow or shrink the chair as necessary. That help answer?
She said, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
How is the dynamic tilt powered? And that's from Brad.
So hang on, I don't think I've got the installation. I thought she actually, so there's in that image right there, that's installed underneath the chair. So, I mean, obviously you can order this on chair, but you can order it as a part after. It can be installed after in the field. But that, it's right that, yes, yeah. The power, it's right underneath of the seat frame.
So there's a power actuator then, right? There's a power actuator that gets installed, and you have only one option for the toggle, the power switch then?
That's right. So this is, I just went back to that slide there. This is what our user toggle looks like. Okay. And you can install that on the seat frame as well. You can install it sort of up and down like this or sideways if it's better access for your client this way. So left or right.
That's a user switch, and then the attendant switch is just like that push button behind the chair, correct?
That's
okay,
right.
So those are your two options for that.
Yes.
Brad had a follow-up question. Does it plug in?
Yeah, so in terms of charging, you charge for 6 hours and you get, and I know it always sounds funny when you say it's 3 hours of use, but 3 hours, keep in mind, you're not up and down all day. So 3 hours of use is huge. Right? So you're probably only going into tilt depending on what you guys are recommending. But if it's 5 times a day, that's certainly nowhere near the 3 hours. So it does last a long time.
So right now our spec sheets or our order forms on our website does not have that option, but they could go onto your Sunrise website, pull out the actual Iris order form, and that would be where that power tilt option would be. And right now it's a seed dealer option. So
seed dealer option, and Cherry and our marketing gal and Mike and I are going to have a meeting probably in the next coming weeks And we're going to discuss pulling those order forms and just making some changes to what's been blacked out. And we're going to make better notes so that you guys know with certainty what's going to be C dealer, what's going to be option to pay, and what's going to be justification, right? With your J's. So the monoback, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the monoback. What this back allows you to do, and it is really cool, is that you can now install a back support on this frame that's either narrower than or wider than your seat width, right? Because we know that we've got a lot of people that are sort of top heavy, and then the opposite of people who are bottom heavy. And so this allows us to get a much better fit for our client. You can also, if somebody's got a trunk deviation, you can also offset the back up to 2 inches either way to accommodate that. The other thing it does is it frees up a lot of this space here that you would maybe have interference with back canes and armrests. So you've got the ability to install more secondary supports, off the shelf laterals or aftermarket laterals and that kind of thing, and a ton of adjustment through these slider bars. So it is quite cool, and it does have the dynamic suspension as well. So that's something that's available on the monoback too. There's a little lockout feature. So if the client doesn't need the dynamic suspension at that time, you can lock it out. If it needs to be engaged, you engage it. So if there's tone issues or, whatever's going on in their day-to-day, you can lock or engage. And again, so a stroller handle is also available with the recline back. So this is cool. So the Quickie Iris, this is something that's probably underutilized, but it is a lower extremity amputee support. It's very cool, sort of infinitely adjustable, very comfortable. But the reason I wanted to sort of put those Zfinity supports back or feet back up next to this option is that if you've got a client who's wearing a prosthetic regularly, then they would probably need to have both of their hangers with foot plates at the height of the prosthetic and the other limb. If they're not wearing a prosthetic, you can actually now, if you're using these Zfinities, you can actually have them mounted similarly to this, add a pad to them, and they almost mimic what you're getting here with the amputee support. So it is kind of cool. But again, that reminder that there is that 165-pound weight cap on those Zfinity feet. Jeez. So this, I think it was Brian. Was it Brian that asked? Yep. So we do have those fold down canes, back canes. And when those rear wheels are removed, it is quite compact for transport. So clinical applications, and you guys know this, I know, but I don't know if justifications are ever required or verbiage, and we can come up with more verbiage if necessary. You guys can always reach out to me. My final slide is my contact info. We can go over this stuff. So the clinical application are the same for the Zippy and the Quickie Irises, with complex positioning or medical needs, contractures, ventilators, that kind of thing. Posterior tilt, we know, improves to help facilitate feeding and respiratory function, reduce pressure, improve line of sight. The dynamic back moves with the client to help maintain proper positioning and reduce wheelchair damage resulting from involuntary movements. So that is something that's available on those chairs, as well as that mono back is the dynamic back. And then, of course, client with skin integrity issues requiring the maximum tilt and or recline range available. And because of that True Fit program, we're also talking about people who may gain or lose weight and require access to shrinking or growing a chair. So here we've got our similarities and our differences. It's the same. Right, we're basically just difference in size and weight ranges, but you can see that they're WC19 compliant, True Fit program. We've got access to these options that we just sort of breezed through in the last slide. Dynamic back posts. We have the foot tilt, foot lock, and the stroller handles. This we can go over. I hope I'm not stealing too much time, Cherry. I want to hop onto our website after this just to go through a couple of things. We can talk about color Because I know that that's often the best part of an assessment with our client is choosing their color. So when are we choosing the Quickie Iris over the Zippy Iris? So that few slides ago, when we were talking about stability and the importance of that, the width, the depth, but also the height, that, right, that floor to top of head is huge for stability. So this is when we would do it. So if we've got this, the seat to the top of the head is greater than 37 inches, right? Because we know we're going to need a bigger wheel or seat base, because we don't want that client. We want to maintain that center of rotation over the center, or center of gravity over center of rotation. And then of course we know the weight cap, we're looking at that. And then if we need greater than 16 inches, technically 18 inches. But I think rule of thumb, greater than 16 inches, that we would go from a Zippy to an Iris, or Zippy to a Quickie. So the SR45. So we've got a lower weight cap at 265. We do not have the HD option on this chair. We're limited. We've got less tilt range at 45 degrees. We do not have the option to do the 5 anterior, the 5 posterior. It's just 0 to 45. And then our widths that go from 14 to 20 and depths from 14 to 22. And again, we do have the power tilt option on these chairs as well, and recline. So clinical application, this is probably more the way that I would think of it, just in real basics, is this is probably more of your long-term care application. Somebody who requires the rotation and tilt for the shorter wheelbase, better maneuverability. And of course, if there's skin issues, history of pressure injury or anything like that, that they would need 45 degrees of tilt. And this is where there's some differences, right? So we now see this is pretty straightforward. You can see where we're similar, where we're different. And then this is the bigger one here. So the transit standards are different from the Quickie and the SR45, and the materials we use to build them are different. And so we all know the benefits of the 7000 series aluminum versus a steel. True Fit program, again, just with the Iris products. And I don't think that this is something that we need to discuss. Like Quick Ship is not something for Manitoba. Yeah, sorry. And then we don't have heavy duty available on the SR45. So just to sort of go through this once again, why are we doing an Iris over the SR45? If they need a lower seat to floor height, if they need that anterior or built-in posterior tilt, whether it's to assist with transfers or just for positioning in that little bit of posterior. If they need a higher weight cap or a wider chair, we would be going to the Iris. If the client's got unstable weight and we know they're going to fluctuate and we need access to that True Fit program. Also, custom seating. If we know we're going the route of custom seating, the Iris is definitely going to be the chair of choice. So these are some of the, and I know you guys know how to navigate websites, but the fact is you have 9 billion websites you need to navigate. We've just got the one for the most part. And so we don't expect that you know where to click and where to go to get these things. But I know Cherry mentioned that there are questions about hangers, about, you know, forks, just small things like this where you need to see a picture of something. I'm going to show you on the website where these are hidden, because there is a lot of clicking and it does take time. Like even Cherry, when you said that our order forms are on your website, it took me a minute to find them because I had never been on your website. So I don't expect that you guys can just hop in and just navigate with ease. But these are really good resources for you guys. And before I open up the website, if you guys want to write down, oh no, you're going to get this presentation anyways. But this is my contact info. Cherry, you let me know if I'm stealing too much time.
I got a couple more minutes there, Amanda.
Okay.
No problem.
I
Yeah.
put the My Sunrise login on the chat.
Yeah.
Too, for
Oh,
Oh,
perfect.
perfect. Oh, good. Okay.
I don't know if this would be captured on the video, so just to read it out loud there, Mike, if you want.
I put it in the chat box, the link for the login for the site. So you guys can follow in, and Amanda's gonna walk through it.
So yeah, so there's a few things I'll just show you where to find those those visual aids, if you will, for the different pieces of the chair. But if you guys go to our website, which is sunrisemedical.ca, and you click on My Sunrise, you're going to see a tab that says I'm a clinician. And as soon as you click on that, it's going to give you a login option. And that's going to give you access to a lot of fun and exciting things, as well as better visuals on components that you might have questions about. But always, 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 I'm here. You know, email me, call me, FaceTime me, whatever you want to do. I'm here to help. So I'll just click here. And because we're talking about tilt in space, so manual wheelchairs tilt in space. And then because a lot of information comes up, right? So I'm going to click on my iris, read more. And this is going to be available on all the products, okay? And I'm going to scroll down, lots of information, lots of cool videos, which is where I pulled some of the videos from, right? Okay, we're going. And then all the way down here, brochures, order forms, order manuals, parts manuals, here's other. And then I want you to look at the accessories catalog. So this, I think, is going to help to answer questions that come up where you've got uncertainty. So I did show you on those last couple of slides, but this is going to be embedded in each one of the products on our website. I find these really help. If you configure a chair with one of your vendor reps, they can also do a quick configurator through our website where they have restrictions. So if you configure a chair one way and you're restricted by the seat to floor you picked, it's going to actually show you your restrictions and tell you why. I just have to verify whether or not you guys, when you do your My Sunrise login, have access to the configurator. I will get back to you on that. But these are really great tools here. So I think that's probably it. Play around on the website, certainly. Please register for My Sunrise. There's a lot of good stuff there. Our clinical educators, they have blogs that are included in that as well. So there's just a lot of information, a lot of good presentations you can access through the clinical portal. So I will hand it back over to you, Cherry.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So
thanks, guys.
We'll have this PowerPoint as a resource as well. If you guys are okay to put it up on our website, we can also have a quick link to that. We'll talk about that later, Amanda, if you want. Okay, so I'm going to put on my clinical specialist hat for the program. So obviously all these options that Amanda and Mike are showing you are great. I would love you guys to try it out. If it's a C dealer option, then we can talk about that process. Basically, that would be going through a local vendor, having the client either have a self-funded option or fund it through another funder, but that would all be something we could work out later. But so I'm going to just share my screen again, 1 second. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's, as a clinician, I would try anything that would work for my client. You're going to do your justification, your due diligence to try to get this funded. And a lot of you do come to me and say, hey, is this something we're going to be funding? So I'm putting on my clinical specialist hat now as a Manitoba wheelchair program. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that are standard options through the program and stuff that are justification or what we had said was C dealer option. So just a little bit of an overview for how I prioritize your referral. So anything category 2C and over, they go through me for just a look-see to see if things are meeting eligibility criteria, or if I have a question, I'll be connecting to the therapist directly. So how I triage these application forms is really, if it's urgent, you're telling me it's discharge pending, client is unsafe or needs a mobility device for pressure management, that kind of stuff. So those are my urgent, so I will prioritize them. Unfortunately, category 3s are a very customizable chair. I will go look in the warehouse or have one of our techs go and check and see if we have anything available. But at most times, some of those options that you want on these chairs need to be ordered individually. So unfortunately, I can't prioritize a new category 3 chair within 1 week timeline. I just can't. We have budget issues and we have a lot of demands. So definitely I will have a discussion with you. If I can find something that substitute it, you're asking for an Iris, but maybe we can find an SR45 in the size. We'll have that discussion and just kind of think about what it is that you need for the client to be safe. My secondary prioritization is for people who are deteriorating, but they're in a safe place. They're, they are a little bit higher priority than somebody who already has a chair in place. So my next and then my third is the wait list. So that's just a quick overview how your applications are going to be processed. Also, I'm looking at eligibility criteria. So this is in the Manitoba Wheelchair Program website, the policy and procedure manual. There's eligibility criteria there, but really focusing on this category is for a non-ambulatory, a dependent sitter. We don't necessarily have every category to fill all those gaps. We understand that. You could make a case. We do case by case trial. We do off contract options. So those are processes. If you need to go through that, you need to contact me directly. So the main eligibility criteria is applicant is a full-time user over 6 hours per day. This one is tricky, has a caregiver to apply tilt at regular intervals throughout the day. So this is the C dealer option that you might want to consider for your client is the power tilt. If a client can be independent with power tilt and pressure management, that might be a way to look into it. Unfortunately, not covered by WHA or Manitoba Health, but it is a way for you to give that independence. Also, the accessible home and entrance. This is a big topic, I understand, but definitely it is a policy that we need to have an accessible home to have a category 3. Don't come at me. I know there's certain cases and there's exception to the rule, so we will talk about it case by case. And finally, we do recommend completion of a trial with the equipment. We have a couple options here for trial in our clinic. We can talk about how to access that. If you have questions, email me. Or if you can't get your hands on this equipment, a simulation to tell me that you've done this assessment. If you're asking for tilt and recline, you are going to definitely have questions for me to say, oh, so how did that improve function? Or how did that improve positioning? So you have those evidence for me. Pictures are lovely. As long as the client's face or any type of identifying features are blocked, you can email me. That would be great as well. So I'm kind of basing your story on what I'm reading, and I'm trying to get a picture in my head of your client. So sometimes I just can't get it. I might just have to have a phone conversation with you, which is great. I think I would prefer that. Next slide here. So we went over this, but really a person that requires tilt and recline are mainly for these following reasons. And you're going to give me some evidence and some clinical justification for why this client is needing it. So based under these categories would be pressure management, postural support, functional optimization, or other types of clinical benefits. On the website as well, we have a quick list or quick spec. So this, I just pulled this slide out for the category 3, and it's got some specs. You're going to see the Zippy TS as one of the chairs that were offered on the program, but it might still be around. We do have a recycling program. So if there's a chair that obviously, you know, it's a little bit older, but it fits your client and it's going to do the job, we might offer that as a substitute. So just note, I think there was an error on the category 3 specs on the quick listing, but Zippy TS is 165. The Zippy Iris, correct me if I'm wrong there, Amanda, is it 225? White
Yes,
cap?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, yeah.
Sorry.
And then the quick yes for SR45, as Amanda has already gone over, is 265. And then you've got the Iris, 300 and 400 pounds. Okay, so if you, I'm very old school here. I printed out the spec sheets. So you can also go onto our website and don't come at me, but these spec sheets are really bad sometimes. So we're going to try to revamp them. There's a lot of things that have been blocked out, and for me it's also confusing. So hopefully we'll get this project started in the next few weeks, like we said, but mainly rolling out changes. I think our deadline is maybe March. We're hoping we can get all the order forms updated, because there's some options that have been discontinued and there's options that we just didn't feel made sense for the program. So once we get the finalized version of the order forms, we will just send out a notice that they're updated. But anyways, if you want, you can go onto our website and pull up the Quickie Iris spec sheets. So I'm just, you know, instead of throwing a bunch of information here, I just went through standard options that you would expect and what are going to be justification, which means you have to write a little bit more to tell me why medically or functionally the option you're choosing is going to help your client. And then some options we just can't offer at this point, and those are going to be see dealer. All right, so if you look at the Iris, I've based this on the Iris, your standard option for a base. So the base is going to be whatever option, either the SR45 or a Zippy Iris with transit tie down options. So the justification there is, why are you going from an SR45 to an Iris? So all those good things that Amanda talked about, why you would go over one over the other, those are the things you're going to be writing down. So I don't know if you have any questions about that. But the HD model is a J, so it's just a simple client is over 300 pounds. So those kind of things. The width adjusting system is an automatic with pediatric bases. It's a J if you're asking for it on an Iris, like a regular Iris. So maybe the weight is fluctuating, you're not sure. Maybe the seating system might add some depth or width to this, to your final prescription. So you're asking for a width adjusting system. Your standard options are fixed struts. So you have to tell me what your seat width and depth package is going to be. Under the standard option here, manual tilt is your standard. With their specific angle or setup, and then a standard axle plate and a standard seat pan. Over on the justification option, you have the contractor seat frame. Again, that's a J. Why do you need something like that? The reclining back canes is also going to be a J. So range of motion issues, tone, those types of justification, why you would need that, and the reclining back cane. So I will call you about what were the evaluations you did to make sure that just tilt isn't enough for this client, right? And then we've talked about this power tilt is a C dealer, and a drop seat pan is a C dealer option. So that's just like a very generic overview of the base on the page 1. Any questions? Sorry, I didn't get to see what the chat is. Oh, okay. All right, so we're going to go on to, I want to say it's page 2. So accessory options for wheels and casters. So that's like page 3, really. So I'll go through the standard options. So we have rear wheels, which are the 12-inch low poly, 22-inch mag or the 5-spoke wheel, and the 24-inch mag or 5-spoke wheel. We have a full poly or low poly. The low poly, it says that it's only available on a 12-inch tire or wheel. Casters are 6x1 or 8x1, so you have a poly or a semi-pneumatic. We have standard aluminum hand rims and the option of foot brakes or push to lock. The justification side here are really see dealer for other rear wheels and caster sizes. And that's just more for the stuff that we have to stock on hand. We can't possibly have enough space for all their options. And also some of the contract pricing we negotiated were for the standard options only. The C dealer option is for anyone that wants a one-arm drive system. So again, this is a dependent category. So having a one-arm drive system means that the client is somewhat independent. So that category doesn't really fit this client. So it's a C dealer option. C dealer option for plastic rims. And then a justification if you need a wheel lock extension. So that's as like our other category of chairs. Any questions on the wheels and casters? Amanda's accessory page on their website is really going to be helpful if you're looking for something a little bit, unique that would meet your client's needs. So that would be a good resource for everybody. All right, just looking at the time. Okay. Accessory options for footrest. So we offer the 70, 80, 90 degree swing in and swing out front mount. I have an asterisk there because we're in talks about why that was selected for the program versus the other options. So more information on that's going to come out. But for now, this is what the options are for standard standard chair on our program. You have your option of a 2-inch or a 4-inch extension tube. The standard for kids are angle adjustable foot plates. There's also adult angle adjustable foot plates and heel loops that are standard options. Justification items are elevating hanger front mounts. That's a J. And we had mentioned the contractor footrest system. That's a J as well. So just make sure when you're checking off the contractor footrest system, there's a couple options you also need to choose. I always get a call back from the manufacturer saying, oh, what type of mounting style, what type of extension height? So then I'm like, oh, I have to go back to the therapist. So if you could just go through that order form, make sure you choose the right things that go with that contractor footrest system. So this is on the order form at the very back page. It tells you the extension with the 70 degrees, no extension, 2-inch or 4-inch, and then this little matrix here. I know it's a little confusing for everybody, but this would be from the seat pan to the angle of that foot plate. That is what you guys are referring to, right, Amanda? Can you clarify this matrix a little bit if people are confused? I don't know if there were questions from this before. Yes, I know. Brad and I have talked about this. Thanks, Brad. Our height adjustable tube is no longer an option. Why is this?
Okay, so I'm calling on Mike a little bit here for help because again, as you guys know, this is still new to me as well. When we met with Cherry yesterday, there was a point in the meeting where I was kind of looking a little cross-eyed because I was like, this is a lot of information.
Yeah, so I see on the order form is all blacked out. So this is also why we are looking at the order form. So go ahead, Mike.
Sure,
Sorry.
what we'll do is we'll follow up. We'll follow up with the group. Oh, sorry, I got Nico. We'll follow up with the group afterwards, and if you could maybe just send me an email with the screenshot, and then I'll get product management to send an update with an explanation on how the measurements are. I just want to make sure we're giving you the accurate information.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that doesn't include your seat cushion, and then you also have to allow for the clearance on the ground there to get your final seat to floor height. Right. Yeah. That's kind of some of the questions
you
that
see
I
the
get.
measurement there is always our seat to floor height measurement is always the seat pan at the top of the seat pan to the floor.
Okay. Okay. All right, so, but that is on the order form. We want to make this a little bit easier for everybody. I know there's a lot of questions about that. So stay tuned, but right now your options are this on the program. All right, I'm going to move on to the back post. We talked a little bit about this, and there's this diagram. You have to choose between a stroller handle, fixed height, or a height adjustable stroller handle. That's the standard. To get your reclining backrest, it's a justification. So remember, it limits your degrees of tilt if you do add a reclining backrest to 40 degrees. And it is only on the Iris, I want to say. Is that, sorry, Mike and Amanda, reclining backrest available on both SR45 and Iris, or just Iris?
On both.
On both, okay. So SR45 is only 45, so that's fine. And then in the Iris, you're limiting by 15 degrees of tilt. Okay, there's questions about dynamic backrest, and we've never approved those. So those are C dealer options right now. Almost done here. This accessory options for armrests. So keep going to page 5. The armrest. So your standard options are dual post flip back height adjustable with either desk or full length arm pads, which are classic or contour arm pads. The justification is a single post height adjustable. And it's got a matrix at the bottom as well to kind of show you what you need to choose. Side guards are C dealer options. Okay, ooh, got through that pretty good. So right now we're going to I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So we're just gonna open it up to the floor a little bit to see if anybody had questions about the options that you have on the program versus things that you're gonna need to look at justification versus going to C dealer. Okay, so I'm just looking at chat to see if there's anyone. Okay, Brad, I'm going to read yours out. Are height adjustable tubes? Okay, so no. I have spoken to several therapists about this, as hanger height can vary as well. Brad, do you want to just talk on the mic, or not to put you on the spot, but do you want to clarify, I think, what you're talking about? Is this more seat to floor height versus the leg rest?
I think it's more leg rest. The hanger specifically, just if you're using, say, comparing, I don't know, a glacial versus a PRM or something, and if you're just doing a seating trial, you just need the flexibility and freedom to do that quick adjust. And if you're stuck with that 1-inch increment with the extension tubes, you just can't necessarily dial it in.
Yeah, so that's some of the.
Sorry, Brad, you're talking about like the bolt through hanger adjustability and that one. So we used to have an infinite adjustability slide hanger that had like a set screw, but what was happening in facilities where the extension tubes were coming out. So we decided to go with the bolt through for more stability and rigidity over the long term. And then also, so you get the 1-inch increments, yes, through the holes, but then you play with your foot plate to get more of that infinite adjustability using spacers, or if you're using the Zfinity hanger, obviously that's the ideal. But if you're just using our standard foot plate in combination with the bolt through hanger. But the reason why we go bolt through is just really to keep that extension tube in there on a long term.
Stability makes sense. I understand that. I get both sides. I see Tia popped on there. It's been such a long time since I've seen Dorothea. Hey.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay, Brad.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Sorry, we were being shy there. I apologize. Our camera.
Yeah, I was like, where is the camera here? No, that's okay. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I did put Brad on the spot. Sorry, Brad. Okay, anybody else have questions about the Iris SR45 or Zippy Iris at this point? I have one from Gord. Hey, Gord.
Hi, Gord.
I'm just going to go on mic here, if that's okay.
That's fine, yeah.
Can you go back to the slide with the foot plate, foot hanger options? Is it possible
the one
to bring that up?
That's on the order form?
Or Amanda's,
the one that you showed in your presentation, Sherry.
Sure.
I don't know if it's easy to go back onto that.
I will.
I'm just wondering what we're to do in situations where the client's lower leg length is longer than what that
is this the slide, Gord?
Allows for. Yeah, I don't know if you can make it bigger.
I will try.
And Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is carrying on to our conversation we had yesterday in your office. By opening up option B on the order form and not having that blacked out, we'll be able to accommodate that extension tube and longer leg discrepancies versus right now where we just have the direct mount option. Sherry's already brought this forward to us.
Yeah,
And,
we've, Sherry
it's
and I
something
have
that-
talked about it a few times too. And I know I provide some support to therapists in our office when they're filling out order forms, and this seems to always come up. It's come up ever since that option for extension tube mounts has been blacked out on the order form, because we were able to get longer lengths on those footrests. But here it looks, yeah, thanks, Jerry. Now it looks like the longest you can get with the 4-inch extension tube is 13.5 inches. It says 14 for 80-degree front mount hangers.
Mhm.
But if our client's lower leg length is longer than that, even factoring in the height of the cushion, I'm just wondering what we're supposed to do.
It's the only way to accommodate it's with an extension tube. And
Okay.
that's we have to, we're gonna work with Cherry on making that option available and open. She brought that forward for you yesterday, Gord. So
Yeah,
we're
okay.
we're gonna work with Cherry on that.
I think it's good to make the group aware of that too. So
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of people coming to me with that. And I was like, I don't know. I thought we were able to have that option, but they've brought up the fact that it's been blacked out on the order form. So um, hopefully, whatever we can do with Mike and the team there, we can offer a little bit more range. That is the goal for sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks for addressing that.
and a here and now side, Gord, if you order it through Cherry, we can no charge that option and like a special accommodation until we get the order form updated if you want.
You're on video, you know this, right?
I know
You're being
but
recorded.
you stopped
And it's
recording, so
recorded.
that's why I said it.
And it's recorded.
I'm just joking. Like these are the kind of things, guys, you just bring forward to our attention. The original order form with the blackout selection was at the start of the contract. It was before Cherry was involved in the program, and there were some decisions that were made by Manitoba Possible, but there are things that we can go back and update and change. No problem.
Yeah, understood. Okay, thanks.
No, thank you, Gord.
Are there any other pain points about the IRIS or SR45 order forms that anybody wants to also bring up today? That would be great.
Or anything that you love about it. That would be
Oh, well, I do want to show, I think we have a bit of time, but the demo chair I have there with the option of tilt and recline, are you guys able to show that up there?
Sure, we'll try. I'll put the weight in the chair so Amanda can.
Yes.
It's a little tight.
Hang on. Yeah. Mike's climbing behind me. Hang on, I don't even know
Sorry.
if we're gonna get a good angle.
Okay, so right now it's in a bit
You
of
might have to hold the
recline.
computer, actually. Close up.
Want me to hold it?
Yeah, he's gonna have to hold it.
So, I don't know. I'll try and do the selfie arm here.
Now
Oh,
I'm
there you
stuck.
go.
This is like,
Okay.
can you see?
Yeah, we
I'm
can see that.
changing
Okay.
my angle.
So the
That's
recline
getting in the plan.
angle goes all the way to what range for recline? 120 or
120.
120?
And then when you go into 45 degrees of tilt, you get down to 180, I believe.
Okay, so then
I feel like I'm at the dentist right now.
Wait, yes, but hold it back further.
Can I see it?
there.
you
How does that look?
You guys get to see?
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, so
That's
just to let
okay.
you know, there is that option for a trial in our clinic if you are trying to think about something for your client that might work. So tilt and recline.
Gonna go to the
Thank you
dining hall
guys
now.
up there. Nothing like putting
It's
you
a
on the
beautiful
spot.
office, but it's not as big as you'd
It's
think
very
up here. So.
Okay. Oh, okay. So Ashley, hi Ashley. Could you go over why we would choose setup frame depth by quickie versus setup by depth or vice versa? Okay.
So that's when you've got that really tall, that over 37 inches from seat to top of head, because then we really want to be able to accommodate for obviously that the configuration to make sure that our client stays within the center of rotation.
And I think that's the first video that unfortunately the sound wasn't working. When we send you the presentation, you'll see it clearly why that 37-inch measurement is so important, because that's where you're going to get center of rotation over center of gravity, and the chairs in true balance. What's the patented feature of the SR45 and the Iris is our ability to adjust center of gravity on the base and having a very compact base. So you look at traditional tilt chairs in the market, they're very long and they take up a lot of space. But with the SR45 Iris, they have almost the same footprint as your standard folding manual chair. But that'll all be clear in the video when you're able to hear it.
Sorry, guys. I'll have to go home and practice. I don't know.
That's it. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending today and all your questions. And if you haven't had the chance to get your question answered, or you don't think about it right now, but think about it later, definitely there's Amanda's contact information that we can put up, and you can always email me. And if I don't know the answers, I go to them for the answers. So
Do you want me to put my contact info back up?
yeah,
that
do you want to
slide?
do that again? Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're a little bit under the
We
time.
can give everybody back 13 minutes in their day, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Carrie,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hang on.
Oh, one more question from
Oh.
somebody. Sorry, my phone.
I'm going on mic again, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Can you very quickly just review again the reason for going Iris over SR45?
Sure. If I
Because
can get
one of the points you made was if we're going custom seating, it's a good idea to choose the Iris over the SR45. We have put like a number of people with custom seating in SR45 chairs.
Yes, no, for sure you can, Gord. I think it's just that a lot of times some of those other additional supports are required with clients with custom seating. So I just sort of lumped it in with the Iris. I'm trying to get back to that slide, but can you guys see my screen again?
Yeah, it's on.
I don't know why it's not changing pages.
It's not the PowerPoint.
So just to be clear about that,
shoot.
Chair, and
Oh.
Sherry, this question
back
is
to the
also for
PowerPoint.
you. If we're going custom
There you go.
seating, we're not using custom seating alone as justification for an
Right.
Iris, are we?
Exactly. Yeah, I'll have questions for you about that. So it really, like the weight capacity, the width adjusting strut, those kind of things that you would need if you were in custom seating world, you would want those flexibility to have more width, or if you were considering the mono backings that Amanda had said, those would eliminate those back posts essentially, so you can go as wide as you can on your backrest, right? So and I don't know, is the mono backings available on SR45 or no?
No,
So
just the
that's the
Iris.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what you meant by custom seating, right? Like if you're gonna go
Yeah,
past
just
the width.
more versatility on that chair.
Okay, but normally it's because we need that higher weight capacity or the
Higher tilt
wider
range.
seat width.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Or the dynamic back canes, or did you say you can get dynamic back canes on an SR45 too?
You can get the dynamic springs on the SR45.
Yeah,
No.
sorry, dynamic
I'll
springs.
have to confirm that one.
Let me, sorry, Gord.
think-
let
I
me
think it's
confirm
only
for
in
sure.
Iris.
Sorry.
I thought that maybe you couldn't. I thought that was only an
Yeah.
option.
The dynamic back, you know what? I think you're right. And I think it was on one of my slides too. So I do apologize.
You can get power tilt on both
You can, yeah.
faces, but I think definitely the deal breaker there is the weight capacity for SR45 versus Iris is what we're saying, right, Gord?
Right.
Weight capacity, the ability to go out wider. I think you can go 22. I also looked at your Iris order forms on the website and it was up to 24, but that was a built for me option. So that part is
new
to me. But
That's
Yeah,
a good
so
slide. I think
The
I missed
dynamic,
that
yeah, so
slide.
the dynamic back, but you got the dynamic recline, just not dynamic back posts.
Yeah, that's good. And contractor foot support on the Iris only, not the SR45.
Right, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So
Okay.
there's In a way, yeah, all the custom seating for your really complex clients, you might not meet with an SR45. It is a justification though, right? So you tell me all the like the deal breakers for an SR45 to go to an Iris. That's basically the justification for that base.
All right, cool. I think I see a
Okay.
bunch of people left as soon as I started talking.
Ah, you learned.
Oh, there's
Have a good day.
thank you, everybody. Here's Amanda's contact information, and appreciate you all being online today. And
Thanks,
again, it's going to
guys.
be video recorded and sent up on a YouTube link as soon as I can get it converted. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
good day.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Peter.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.